The Jersey Rugby Football Club began life as the Jersey Island Football Club in 1879. Before that, organised rugby was played at Victoria College and other island schools, also amongst teams from the regiment stationed in Jersey. The club had problems finding enough players, and in 1900 it disappeared from the record books. Around that time, Victoria College played their last game of rugby against Guernsey's Elizabeth College, and other schools began switching to soccer. The switch by the colleges so incensed Five Channel Islands old boys serving in the Far East, they decided something must be done to revive the sport. And this was the result, the Siam Cup. The 5 old boys, 4 from Guernsey and 1 from Jersey, asked the King of Siam if they could melt down tickles, Siamese silver dollars, to make a trophy to be played for between the islands. The King agreed, and his silversmith fashioned the cup. But despite the incentive of this magnificent trophy, rugby in Jersey continued its decline, and for the next 30 years the game was left mainly to teams from the garrison serving in the islands. Those teams did meet Guernsey opposition in matches for the Siam Cup, which was allowed under conditions of the gift. In 1928, a group of rugby enthusiasts met to reform the club. But again, they often had trouble finding enough players and somewhere to play. But nevertheless, rugby survived, and on the 9th of July 1934, the Jersey Rugby Football Club, as it had then become, held their first annual meeting. Moving on through the 1930s, and the club was increasing its fixture list with matches against teams from the UK, and the Siam Cup was more than keenly fought for. After the game in 1938, the committee decided to write to the Guernsey club complaining of the rough play caused by one of their team during the Siam Cup match. The minutes of the Jersey club end for a while in 1938, and that sort of enthusiasm on the pitch was transferred to the battlefield in World War II. But rugby was played until the occupation. This is Jersey's Siam Cup side in February 1940, captained by Roy Horsfall. The team won, but Roy can't recall the score. On September the 9th, 1946, 30 people gathered in the town hall. Their first resolution, in short, sharp military terms, was to reconstitute the club and commence operations at once. A well-known character in local rugby, Major Cook, was elected president. Although the number of players was increasing after the war, the club still had the same old problem, no permanent home. This is Le Val-Henri, part of the Samurai Manor estate. 25 years ago, I played rugby here. We also played on an assortment of fields, some of which doubled as cow pastures. One of my fellow team members was Stan Woodward, who went on to become a captain, a referee, and is a former club president. How did the club survive without having a place to call their own?
I think it was the enthusiasm of about 14 or 15. If there was a team coming over to Jersey to play, our 14 would find somebody who would make up the 15th. You know, he might have played rugby in his after years, you know, but he would join in the fun of the game. We would have a run out for about a week just to try and get fit, you know, and we'd take it on from there. You did mention, Bob, about these pitches, and you're quite right, that we moved from one side of La Blinerie Lane to the other side of La Blinerie Lane. Then we lost that one. We moved over to the Paradise Farm at La Houppe, either side of the road. We moved to the Earl of Jersey's field at, again, somewhere near the Paradise. The field escapes me, but everybody knows we played on it. It had a lovely slope on it, which we tried to get the opposition in the right perspective in the first part of the game, having entertained them the night before, hopefully that they would, you know, be brought down to our level by the next day.
In 1963, after over 80 years of nomadic life, Jersey Rugby at last found a place to fly its flag. They now have 2 pitches near the airport and a clubhouse, which is the envy of most clubs in the British Isles. Many enthusiasts were involved in the building of Jersey's home of rugby, including Jack Perrier, a stalwart of the club before and after the war. How did they finally acquire their permanent ground?
It was as a result of a visit from the Old England player T.A. Voice of Gloucester, who was staying in Jersey, came to one of our evenings and said, "Where's your field?" And we said we couldn't afford a field, we hadn't one. He said, "You find a field, I'll find the money, or see the money is found." And that started us off. The union helped us, and ultimately the Middlesex trustees also helped us, which enabled us first to get a long lease of the field at Beaumont, Goose Green Marsh, then to buy these two fields from the Sivray family, and to build the pavilion.
Once they had the field, club members combined their talents, brains and brawn and built their own clubhouse, which was opened in 1964 and followed by a match against an international 15 gathered together by club president Ian McMillan and captained by Dickie Jeeps. The internationals won an all-action game by 37 points to 24. One of Jersey's team that day was Dennis Hartley, who became captain a year later and is now the club's president. After many years of struggling to become established, why is rugby now so popular in Jersey?
Well, I think myself that a long time ago, and when the club actually first started, we struggled to find two sides, let alone one, and each weekend we had to play sometimes twice. But since then we've had, players coming from the mainland, and eventually the club got stronger and stronger, and then they have gone into the schools as teachers. And whereas football was very strong on the island, rugby seemed to take over, and the schools now are doing a fantastic job of bringing these young players up through the schooling and then into the club in later years.
A glance inside the clubhouse provides evidence of the club's standing in the world of rugby and its reputation for hospitality. Almost 300 shields presented by visiting teams over the years decorate the walls. Each shield is a memory, a moment in the club's history. This Sunday at the airport pitch promises the greatest occasion so far, when the Jersey Rugby Football Club first team meet the President's 15, a side made up of British Lions. A bit of a David and Goliath encounter, you might think, but Jersey Rugby has tackled many a challenge in the last 100 years.
Right, everyone looking at the camera. Which one?
After the official photographs, which will decorate many sideboards for years to come, Robert Hall had a few words with Welsh international JPR Williams.
There's been a sort of worldwide explosion in the popularity of rugby. It's spreading all over the place. Why do you think that is?
I don't know, actually. It's certainly, there's no doubt about it, it is a major game now, and it's, I think television has done a lot to publicise the game. As you say, it is now a major sport. It always has been in Wales, but all over the world now. Even countries which you haven't heard of playing rugby are playing rugby, and I certainly know that they are behind the Iron Curtain.
We've seen a sort of circus situation in cricket, and in fact now in motorcycle racing. Can you see that happening in rugby as well?
Not really, no, I don't think so. I suppose you could say that this occasion today is a bit of a circus, in as much as you've got a lot of well-known players coming together, but basically they're doing it because they enjoy it. They don't get paid for it, and I think that's the big difference.
The sport's seen a lot of changes in recent years. You're now, as it were, retiring. Is there one change that you'd like to see made, which you think would improve the future of the game?
Yes, I think just like in a lot of sports, there's a lot of hypocrisy, and you have the situation over in Britain where amateur rugby league players are banned from playing rugby, whereas professional soccer players could play rugby. I find that very, very difficult to understand.
On a lighter note, you're in Jersey this afternoon for what we hope will be a good match. Are you looking forward to it?
Very much so, yes.
Expecting a good game?
Yes, I hope so.
After the morning's dreadful weather, the sun came out for the kick-off, taken by Jersey, who immediately leapt in with enthusiasm. Although no one anticipated a Jersey win, the 2,500 spectators did expect an exciting all-action game, and they weren't disappointed. The President's 15 opened the scoring when John Spencer gathered, passed to Ollie Campbell, but then had JPR Williams outside him, creating the overlap. The President's side went into a 14-0 lead before Jersey struck back. Scrum half Kevin Barry put in, a good heel by the pack who worked hard throughout the game. Fly half John Taylor to fullback Tommy Mee, and Tommy Knoll was through. A copybook try under the posts, which gave Tommy Mee a simple chance at the conversion. At half-time, the President's team led 18-10, with the players and spectators thoroughly enjoying themselves. Welsh cap Dennis Hughes now to scrum half Doug Morgan, and JPR is there again to add the finishing touch. The try gave Doug Morgan a massive kick for the extra points. From the beginning of a President's 15 build-up, Jersey fly half John Taylor produced a bit of quick thinking and made a nice hole in the defence for Jimmy Jordan to finish the move. The President's side replied with most of the backs involved. Doug Morgan to John Spencer, then Captain Arthur Lewis, who missed out number 10 Arthur Brown with a loping pass to Bruce Hay. Brown came back into the line to score. The last kick came from Dennis Hughes, which made the final score in this historic match. The President's side 44 points, Jersey 22.